I'm Pastor Aaron Harris, and in this video, we'll answer the essential question of how much money should you have saved as a Christian in your 30s. Some Christians would say that you should have around $50,000 saved in your 30s because that is the national average. Other Christians would say, don't worry about how much you have saved. Instead, just put your hope and trust in God. But which one is the correct answer? The first thing that I would encourage you not to do as a believer is to compare yourself too much to other people. Some people compare themselves to people who are above them, and that discourages them and makes them feel like they are not good enough. And some people compare themselves to people below them financially, and that makes them feel like they're doing great and they're in a good position. But it's not about whether you're comparing yourself to people who are doing better than you financially or worse than you financially. It's about making sure that you're on track and doing the best that you can do. The Bible talks about how there's a lot of wisdom in saving money, but it also talks about how we should not put our hope in our resources that we have, but instead we should put our hope and our trust in God. So how much money you have in your 30s is completely dependent on who you are. So let's break this down. The first thing that you want to look at is your emergency fund. How much money does it take you to live if something catastrophic happened? You should have an emergency fund of at least 3 to 6 months of finances, meaning if you quit your job, if you got laid off of your job, or if something happened and you weren't able to work for a few months, that you could still get by. So someone living with their parents, would need a lot less money than someone that's independent living on their own. And so when you look at how much money you actually need, it depends on how much money you actually have to spend each and every month to survive. So that's the first level of what you want to acknowledge and look at as a believer is, do you have enough to get you through a bad financial situation? Now, I remember when I used to live on faith, meaning I lived paycheck to paycheck, and if anything happened, I needed to just trust God to get me through. And God did get me through 10 times out of 10. But I would encourage you, you don't have to live like that. You don't have to have the stress, the anxiety. You have so much more peace of mind when you have an emergency fund. Next, what you want to look at is your retirement savings. There are many people that want to push retirement off as late as possible. Maybe in your 20s you felt like you didn't make enough, or you didn't have a stable job or a full-time job, but now that you're in your 30s, it's very important that you are thinking about the future. You're not just living for today, but instead what you're doing is you are making provisions to make sure that you can provide for yourself and your family in the future. After you look at your retirement long-term goals, you also want to look at your short-term goals. Are you looking to buy a house or remodel your house? Are you knowing that your car is going to go out soon and you're going to need a new car? Are you going to do anything else with education? Do your family have any needs that you're going to take care of? Do you have aging parents that you need to be mindful of in the future? All of these are reasons that you need to begin saving and make sure that you have money stored up. Do you want to travel the world or go on these big vacations or do great things? Then you shouldn't swipe your credit card. Instead, you should prepare for those things in which you know you already want to do. Next, let's talk about different circumstances. Everyone is not in the same position. When most people are 18 years old, they have a net worth of about 0, meaning they don't have a lot of debt, but they also don't have a lot of money saved up or stored up. By the time people get around 25 years old, the average net worth is negative 20-something thousand dollars. And that's because a lot of people in that age range actually go into student debt. And then by the time people get into their 30s, they actually generally have a positive net worth of $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. But it's not about comparing yourself to others. It's about learning the unique track that God has for you and that God has you on. So yeah, maybe you spent time getting into debt, going into college, and your late 20s was working through that debt, or maybe your early 30s was about going and trying to buy a home and structure and prepare for your family. But now it's time to start thinking about, okay, God, what path do you have me on? And you pray to him and look for guidance and direction to make sure that you are making wise financial decisions that help you to sustain yourself not only in the present, but do well in the future as well. And in your 30s, it's okay if you're not where you want to be. In fact, most people aren't where they want to be financially, but this is not the time to give up hope and just spend because you feel like there is no light at the end of the tunnel. Instead, have confidence, know that God has a plan. Pray, trust in him, keep moving in the right direction, start learning about financial literacy, make good and wise financial decisions, and you'll be on the right track. Remember to celebrate small wins. Each time you're saving and hitting financial goals and doing well financially, it doesn't have to be the big things, but every little thing you should just appreciate it and celebrate it. And if you keep celebrating small wins, it'll help you to be able to get to your big wins. So now I hope you're clear on how much money you should have in your 30s. You are on a unique journey. Your plan and your path is unlike absolutely anyone else, but you want to make sure that you are making strategic moves to make sure that you and your family are secure today and that you are setting yourself up to be financially secure in the future. Don't just compare yourself to people who have more than you, because you don't know the support they had, the help they had, the resources that they have, or the path that they're on. And don't compare yourself too much to people who are below you either. They may not have had the resources or the circumstances that you had. And even if they did, God has placed something special in you to be able to get to where you are. So yes, you celebrate where you are, you appreciate where you are, but then you also look at, okay, God, where is it that you are taking me? Make sure that you're learning about financial literacy, that you're making wise financial decisions, and that you're not just living paycheck to paycheck, but you are setting yourself up to save some additional money so that on a rainy day, you will be okay. One thing I can guarantee you is that the sun, it shines on the just and the unjust, which means the rain comes on the just and the unjust. No matter who you are or where you are, there will be sunny days and rainy days. And so having an emergency fund and setting up finances is just making sure that you are prepared for a rainy day. And so in this video, I hope that it encouraged you to know that you're on a path that God has you on. Just have faith, trust in him, continue to walk in the path that he has directed you, make wise financial decisions, and know that all will be made well. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear other videos like this, then watch the videos on my channel, which are all about financial empowerment.